Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankara Majamam Asmadasharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmati Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Uh, we begin from. Can you give me a moment, please? I will just. I went to clean my glass, but it became. Okay, so let's go back there, page 1630. We are covering the verse 04 to 08, in which the subject matter again and again will go until the 12th chapter or 11th. It's the nature of God, the nature of Saguna, Nirguna, Brahman. And so we in the previous verse 2 and 3, Krishna was presenting some features of Brahman. Here is talk about of the higher nature, the superior nature, the real nature of Ishvara, which is Brahman. And there are quite a few things we can say as features of something that has no attributes, therefore it does not really have features, but we need to point to it somehow, and then we say, so those are some features or aspects or just natures, but never really qualities and attributes. And in this passage here, Krishna is talking about, I think the first feature was like, it's not bound by time and space, So the superior nature is free from the empirical relative nature called the world, and as the creator and as the creation. So it's not bound by time and space, period. Therefore, we say it's Advaita, not subject to divisions, no subject to separation, the nature of God. There is nothing apart from it. Therefore, anyone trying to search for God should never look for God as something outside of the scope of consciousness itself, our very conscious nature. So, having said that, Krishna says that it's divisionless, changeless, timeless, spaceless. That is the absolute Nirguna Atma, Nirguna God, Nirguna Self. So there is no form, there is no division, there is nothing like that. So and then they go on say that the higher nature of God is not only formless and beyond time and space and so on, but it presents it as all pervasive, all pervading. Tatam it is pervaded all over. So it's better understood as the substratum or the adsthanan. It's something on which this cosmos appears, such as a projection. And this adsthanan is limitless, meaning to say no limitation by time and space. So it means to say that it pervades the superimposition. When we think about the infinite universe and cosmos, it say like, no, the base on which these infinite universes project, it it's limitless. The cosmos and the universe that are limited within this adjustment, which is limitlessness. That's why in the old days, Ramji used to say that this world, this universe is just a small little thing, in Brahman, it's so insignificant, the entire universe, because Brahman is the substratum, the base, the adjustment that is limitless. So the cosmos is a very small thing that appears and disappears within this conscious existence. So what is the consequence of understanding that it has no limitation, spatial limitation? It's nothing. It's very difficult to think in terms of limitlessness in terms of space, because when we think about that, we think about space itself, But when we analyze space, we see that space appears and disappears as well during the three states, during the pralaya. This most fundamental element, which is a byproduct of the three gunas, is something yet bound by time and space. But Brahman is just all pervasive, all over, no limitation, and so on. No form, nothing. And then the third feature, he says, is that, which is a controversial thing, because sometimes the teachings, the scriptures, they present statements that makes us understand that this consciousness is in the world as the indweller within every living being. And then sometimes it says this consciousness is not in the world, but the world is in consciousness. So, and then say everything is in consciousness, everything is in Brahman. And then a third statement appears here and there that says the world is not in Brahman. Brahman is not indwelling anything, Brahman is the only reality. There is only Brahman and Brahman alone. So there is an appearance of superimposition of the universe upon that which consciousness, the very true nature, intrinsic nature of the witnessing, experiencing entity, the observer of the world. Is that correct, Lynn?
It's beautiful. I was reading the other day. These are what they call tatastha lakshanas, so that they try to get you to the implied meaning of Brahman by things that we're familiar with, etc. And so they're not, they can't take you all the way there. And then they have those Swarupa Lakshanas, which are Sat Chit Ananta, those words. But it's really mind-bending to do the manana on this, to try to really assimilate it. It's kind of impossible to get all the way there. That isn't there that the mind comes back when you try. There's some kind of a verse that says the mind goes all the way there and comes back. It just can't penetrate. This 9th chapter is just
is that I am interested to look into this reading that you did. This reading that is presenting some pointers, some concepts which appear to be features of Brahman, so that you can, through some analogies, you can begin conceiving Brahman, but using elements within time and space to produce that analogy. Okay, so this is very limiting. But then there are the nature, the tattvam, which is Satchitananda, which is more to the point. But even that at the end must be rejected as well. And I would like, and then these two natures are pointers that this reading you did, I would like you to share with the group if you can. Okay, in our page. This is the first point. The second point, when they say that the mind goes there and then comes back, it's also another analogy that involves time, space, and traveling. You understand? So the mind makes an effort to recognize its true nature as the only reality, as conscious existence. And then go through these pointers. These pointers are very good, but if we hold to the pointers, if we hold to the fingers pointing to that, and then we never get there. So the purpose of all these pointers, of these metaphors and analogies and the scriptures in terms of features of Brahman and this and that, is to allow the intellect to conceive that which is inconceivable, because the reality does not have any quality, property, or attribute. So when the mind goes there, and then it said it goes, come back. No, it's just go, and then understands in a certain moment that I am that Brahman, which is absolutely incomprehensible to the human logic process, But I am this Brahman because I know that it's my very conscious existence. It is the light of consciousness reflecting the human intellect, illumining and revealing any and all objects, including very subtle conceptual objects. So the light of consciousness is always there. These pointers, they have to be used to take us close enough. And then again and again, we have to say, okay, all of this is happening within what? Because the reality is my nature. It's not what I'm trying to get there and then come back, get there and come back. It's very subtle, but it's very simple. Because you can't really go there. It's like this, it's like that. Because all these analogies, they are the fact, they have limitations. None of that can really describe, the true nature of Brahman. None of these analogies, they all have the fact, they are limited. So it takes you to a certain understand, and then after some time, it's useless to make an effort to get one of these metaphors and analogies to really understand. You have to say, okay, analogies and metaphors, you brought me here. And now I want to inquire, am I not this very nature as Brahman, conscious existence, the only reality? Isn't this all happening within this consciousness? You understand? It should serve the purpose to give us an understanding of how subtle our true nature is and how impossible it is to reach it as something having really features or attributes. Okay, and then it can only be understood as I am that Brahman, I am that conscious existence. Okay, the I is that conscious, limitless existence. You understand? The I, the Atma, the self. And I'm not going to exclude myself from the self, of course. If it's the only reality, I know that I consciously exist. Therefore, it can only be my very nature. And this is the understanding that we call direct Atmayana, Aparokshayana. This is the one that has tremendous power to transform the body, mind, and one's life's experience in a positive way, of course. You are going to say something, Mark?
Yeah, no, that was a great exposition, Arlindo. Thank you. Yeah, and then we have to claim it. All we can do then is claim who we truly are. And once we know it and we claim it, we can actually forget about it because it becomes natural. It's our natural self.
Absolutely. You don't need to spend the rest of your life claiming. No need. No?
No, and we can't really know it, like Lynn was saying, because it's unknowable as an object. All we can do is know that we are it.
Yeah.
It's our very nature.
Yeah. And that's why there is this concept that the key is to drop the search, you know? So, but when we see give up the search or call off the search, like Papaji and others used to say, we would say not only the search for becoming Brahman or understanding Brahman, but the search for happiness in the world, in the objects of the world. Just stop trying to be happy and understand that your nature is happiness in the sense of completion and fullness and satisfaction, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the third feature, the whole world is resting in Brahman, my very nature. All the things and beings are all Matstani. They are resting in me. I am Visvadara. That's why in one verse itself you can see that the Lord is located in space, because Dayananda suggests another metaphor coming from some of these Puranas involving the snake. So, but the bottom line is that Krishna says that I'm not supported by the world. I am the support of the world, but I'm not supported by the world. The analogy is again very simple. In order to have this computer here, I need a support. The support is this little desk. But this desk is not self-contained, independent in terms of being a supporter. It needs the support of the floor. And this floor here needs the support of the structure, the foundation of this building, and so on. So there is nothing which is independently supporting everything else. Everything else has a relative function and supporting something else, but requiring the support of other things. And Brahman or consciousness is the only one. I support the world, but I do not require any support. I'm never supported by anything. I'm supportless supporter. Beautiful. Of the whole cosmos. Therefore, the third feature of the higher nature of God is Jagata Adara or Jagata Adhisthana. And okay, so the number one, so just Lord is all pervasive. Number two, Lord is all support. The third feature, this is the third feature of Brahman. So the support is the third, all pervasive is the first, and the formless is the first. So it's just like there are so many features that we can talk about in analogy to refer to Brahman, but all of them are going to fall short, of course. In fact, the beings are not in me. And now he comes and contradicts understand my divine yoga. What is the divine yoga? Upanishadic yoga, the yoga of no contact, the yoga of no merging, no reaching, no unifying. You don't need to go anywhere to find Brahman, to find God. It's our very nature. See, this is my divine yoga. No travel involved, no space, no time. And he goes and says, the beings, I said before, the beings are in me, but now I'm going to tell the truth because you're ready for that. My divine yoga says that I myself am the creator of all beings and the sustainer of all beings, but I'm not the indweller of anything. I'm not in anything. I'm not in the sentient beings, and I'm not in the inert material world, universe. Okay, I'm not in any of this. So how can something that is the base, the support, yeah? The substratum on which something else is superimposed or projected. How can this something, not be really in the scope of this projection or superimposition called the universe? How can the base, how can the screen at the cinema, receiving the projection to play this dynamic drama, how can that screen, which is inherent and absolutely indispensable for the play to take place, how can that screen not to be really in the play? How is that possible? Can you explain, Mark?
It's possible because it's the supporter. It's as you just said, it's the background on which everything appears. So how can it be in it? And also, there is nothing apart from it. The rest is just names and forms. Maya, it's an appearance in actual fact, just Brahman, in the form of Nama Rupa.
Anything from you? Thank you, Mark. Anything from you, Lynn?
I think also that these are different orders of reality.
Yeah, that as well.
That's the answer I was going to suggest. So it's one is such as the other meteor, okay? So they never cross borders, they never really mix up. They are two different orders of the only order of reality, which is Satya. When we say that Satya Mithya are two orders of reality, we're in trouble, because if the reality is non-duality, if there is only Satya, how can you present Satya Mithya? This is duality. It's because it's the two orders of the same and only reality, which is Satya, which is consciousness. So when he says that nothing is in me, because, and then we can use the analogy of the screen, the analogy of the space. The space can say, I'm there supporting this universe, physical universe. Everything is contained in me, the space. But then the space as well can say, but in fact, nothing is really in me. How can nothing be really in the space? So the space is a suborder of this Mithya order, which unfolds as the five basic principles or elements, okay? So the space is there, and then the other elements that develop, but does it really touch or impact the space? No. Space is just free and independent. All of that is that all the images on the screen at the theater, is it really impacting the screen? No, there is nothing there, because they are two suborders of the same reality, which is Satya. Okay? So we have Satya Mithya, and we see Mithya, we have suborders being the most subtle, the best examples of the nature of Brahman. So being the space of the space, nothing is really contained in me. I'm not there pervading, I'm not there supporting, I'm not there as the indweller, okay? I'm not in anybody, and no beings are in me. There is nothing in me, and I'm not out there. So it's such a radical statement, because the people who are looking for Brahman say, so if I'm not in Brahman, and if Brahman is not in me, so how I'm going to go about trying to find Brahman? This is the Divine Yoga, the Upanishad Yoga. Understand that which is non-dual, which is the only reality. Everything else is an appearance occurring within this only reality, exactly like the dream state and the dream world and the dreamer. All of that is happening within consciousness. But we know that it's absolutely Mithya. It's a dream-like thing. It's a projection without substance. There is nothing there. Does any dream of the awaker, of the dreamer, really impacts and affects the awaker? No, the awaker, when he gets up, oh my God, I was about being arrested at the border, and being put in a prison, but that was a dream, I'm fine because dream is never going to enter this other reality, So see my divine yoga. I myself am the creator of all beings and the sustainer of all beings, but I'm not in any being. Oh, I was so happy that Brahman is within me as the indweller. No, the indweller is the subtle body, is the indweller of the physical body. But Brahman is the space of the space, the subtler of the subtle. So that is the contradiction that it takes time to make peace with all these apparent contradictions and understand that it's due to the difficulty to put in words as the nature of something which is free from properties, qualities, and attributes. So the beings do not rest in me, they are not in me at all, says Swamiji. This is very problematic line. Swamiji sometimes say it would be better to avoid it. I think in the chapter 12, I'm doing Portuguese language, there is some passage like that Swami says, like, it would be better to avoid it, not to bring it, but for respect to Krishna Ji, we have to bring it up and explains the problem now, and resolve the contradiction. Krishna is straight away contradicting what he said not in the previous chapter, but in the previous verse. Pa-boom, one after the other, tum, tum, Okay. And it's so fresh that it becomes evident. So I'm saying, like, if it was a contradiction in the chapter 8, you would have forgotten, and then I could get away without having to explain this contradiction. But it was just in the previous verse. Now we have to deal with this mess. All beings are in me was said, and in this loka, all beings are not in me. How do you account for this contradiction? It's a big problem. All the commentators of the Upanishads or the Gita, they try to explain it in different ways. But you cannot say that Krishna is making a mistake, You cannot say. As we know, depends to whom he said. It's very difficult to convey these teachings because certain things are said now and then retracted later on, and you have to be careful what you say to people depending on their stage of understanding. And the difficulty is to establish this understanding of what is Satya and what is Mithya, what's Satya and what's Mithya, and in which way they play, without having any contact, without having any association at all. Okay. So one is the absolute reality, Satya, and the other are just image project, such as in the dream state. Krishna will become a bad teacher if we say that he made a mistake. And then he says, our great hero, Shankaracharya, comes here to help us to resolve this contradiction. We owe so much to Shankaracharya. Even Swamiji says, oh, thanks to our hero here. Now, X is existent here, and the next moment, the same X is non-existent there. Both statements coming from Krishna Ji. Therefore, you have to accommodate both statements. You cannot say that it was a mistaken statement because both of them are coming from Shwara, represented by Krishna Ji. Shankaracharya says only one way what is that between these two statements? How do you validate both? Shankaracharya explains. The first one is seemingly existing, and this seemingly existing. So X is seemingly existing. It means to say it's mithya. From the angle from within, stepping within mithya, it does exist. Therefore, that statement is correct. Okay, the statement is that the Lord, is the substratum, is the adhisthanam, is the indweller, is pervading everything. From mithya standpoint, that statement is correct. But when you say, like Krishnaji said, I'm not in anything, there is nothing within me, he is standing satya as satya, the only reality. It's all about perspective, where Krishna is stand, where Krishna Guru is stand. What do you mean by in between category? From angle, it seems to exist. From another angle, it does not exist. So do we have such case to exemplify? Yes, we have plenty of case. Give one example. And then he says, okay, I will give an example. Let's again go back to our dream world with the dreaming entity and the experiences of this dreamer. If somebody asks, dream is existing or non-existing? Is it just a projection? It's unreal? From the standpoint of the dreamer, it's absolutely real. From the standpoint of the awaker, it's just unreal. So if somebody asks, is the dream world real? You say, from the standpoint of the dreamer, it is real. Oh, really? Yes. And then you have to elaborate to explain a little bit. Why? Because the dreamer has experienced that. And for the entity, the dreamer, interacting in that world, that experience is as real as our experience in the Vyavaharika. How so? Because he's going through all of that, having all the emotions and suffering pleasures and pains exactly like we do here. It's just you take a different kind of body, you go into another locker, a superior locker. You leave the body, or you are just a traveler. Some people have this tendency of leaving the body and visiting higher lockers and come back to the body. So when you go there, that place is real or not real. A lot of people come back and say, oh my God, that's reality. This is not real. I don't know why I came back. You understand? From that standpoint, it's real. From this standpoint, this is real. And that is our problem in Vyavaharika. We think that because I sit most of the time here, I take this to be the absolute reality. The dreams, everything was clear, tangible, and I was so much joyful or afraid or frightened, depending on the experience, and so on. Therefore, is there reality to that dream or not? No? If it was enough to frighten me and so on and give me happiness, there is a certain reality within the dream. Therefore, from the standpoint of the dreamer, that is a reality. The dreamer was very happy. When you wake up, you start looking at the dream from a different standpoint, which he puts here from a higher standpoint, because the awaker is considered to be our higher entity, because the awaker in the state of awakening, the awaker has all the instruments of action and reception and the intellect at full capacity to interpret and extract understanding, knowledge from experience. So from a higher standpoint, the awaker, it's frighteningly real or happy real. Like, so when you wake up to your real name, and then so now it's expands that to say we came from the dreamer to the awaker. When you wake up to become a waker, you see a higher reality and you say, this is real. The dream world was just apparently real. And then the purpose of all this analogy, this example, this metaphor is when we wake up to our Satya nature as Satitananda Brahman, the same way, likewise, we see not only the dream state as an appearance in consciousness in myself, but you see the awakening universe as another sort of appearance within myself as consciousness. Therefore, this shift of identification, attribution of reality, to this, from this angle, the angles of identification with pure, limitless conscious existence, the moment that I claim this is my true nature, from that angle, from that perspective, so the dream world and the awakening world, they both are seen objectively as an appearance within consciousness. What consciousness? Consciousness, my true nature, the only reality. Everything is an appearance in consciousness. From a higher order of reality, neither the awakening state universe nor the dream state universe are real. Isn't it clear that the only reality is consciousness? Nothing escapes consciousness. Everything is but an appearance within consciousness, and consciousness is my true nature, the only reality, non-dual consciousness, one without a second consciousness. And then Swami wraps it up saying that this is the beauty and uniqueness of Vedanta. Mithya means experientially available, but factually non-existent. Let me highlight this one, it's so beautiful. Is that which is experientially available, but not factually available. There are so many things experientiable for us that we know that are not real. Now, there are several analogies to explain that, beginning from the dream state, the dream world, and the dream experiences. They are available for experience, but they are not factually there. So what projects or attributes reality to this Vyavaharika is very beautifully described in analogy with the snake that was attributed to the rope. So the traveler is going by and projects a snake on the rope. And then it's going to have a full-on experience of a snake. Now, so that snake is experientially available. It's threatening. It's terrifying. Now, but the snake is not factually there. So it's pretty much about that. Self-knowledge allows us to neutralize the attribution of reality to a world which is not really real, but somehow gives us so much trouble due to our attribution of reality to that which is not factually existing. What is factually really existing is consciousness, the true nature of the Jiva observer. Anything that's experientially available is going to invoke an impact, a response. You're going to interact with it, and then you're going to be moved by it, you know, because it's available for experience. So anything that experience is going to impact the body mind, and you're going to have an impact, positive or not. But once we have this shift and we begin establishing this hard and fast sense of identification with satya consciousness, you know, so this emotional response to this experiential media objects, they begin being neutralized, minimized, you know, they go become less and less and less, having less impact on us, okay? Until it becomes so easily manageable. You cannot say that it's there. You cannot say it's not there. The dream world and this physical world, it's available for experience. But if I take the waking world as real, I'm going to go through all the emotional ups and downs, because everything present to us here is going to produce to a certain degree, comfort and discomfort. Favorable parabolas are going to produce comfort and satisfaction. Unfavorable parabolas are going to produce discomfort or pain. So the only way is to shift one's sense of identity by understanding and claiming my nature as satya, my nature as consciousness, the only reality, and not being identified with the dreamer and the awaker and the deep sleeper. Okay. Then Swami says, like, otherwise you win a lottery in the dream, and then you wake up, the money is no longer available here, but it's available there. So you better spend all your money on the dream. But the sad thing about the dream is that sometimes when we really enjoy, the dreamer becomes the awaker. Oh, I had so much money to enjoy. I was going to make certain trips, you know, on a cruise or whatever, you know. Oh, and now I'm poor awaker now. Therefore, that which has got an existence on a lower order, on a different order reality, does not transfer to to reality, to satya. It's called mithya, an inferior apparent order, available for experience but factually non-existent. Therefore, Krishna here makes a statement accepting the universe and saying, okay, for you guys not prepared to understand that there is no universe at all, I say I'm pervading and supporting this universe. But I'm outside of time and space, but I'm pervading and supporting this universe. But for you guys who are prepared to understand the true nature of myself as Satya, one without a second, I would say there is no question I mean supporting something that is non-existent. There is no point of me pervading something which is non-existent. I am the only reality. Who's the Lord of Brahman? Brahman is the support we have seen. And who is the Lord? The higher nature is called Brahman, or the higher nature. I forgot. It's called Mithya Jagat Adhisthana. Okay. He said this higher nature is the support of Jagata. You know what kind of Jagata? Jagata is Mithya. No? Is something that appears and disappears, is there, but it's not real. So it says the Lord is the Adhistanam, is the supporter of Mithya. Mithya Jagata Adhistanam. Therefore, understand Mithya does not mean that it's not there available for experience. Mithya does not mean it's there in reality. Mithya means that it's appearing there only for the sake of experience until we develop enough spiritual knowledge to play with Mithya, but never being deceived by the assumption that there is something real to it. Therefore, appreciate my higher yoga. Okay, appreciate it. He could have said as well, appreciate my lower yoga. Huh? So understand that I am in Mithya, I am supporting, I'm blessing you in Mithya, and your actions are important. So I'm going to provide you with Punya Papa, and then slowly you're going to refine, and then you're going to enter the Yan Yoga, and my higher yoga, yeah, to understand the higher nature of reality. And this higher nature is not Pratibhasika, is not Vyavaharika, is technically referred to as Paramatika Satyam. The other orders of reality are called Vyavaharika, Satya, the empirical, and the dream, as we know, Pratibhasika. So understand my higher nature, that which is beyond perception and experience. You never can experience yourself unless you would divide one part of you. It says, now we have technology. We cut the head of someone, and then the head is going to hold the mind, and then the mind is going to have experience of the rest of the body apart from the mind. No, you cannot divide yourself. You cannot have an experience as consciousness, because consciousness is advaita, cannot be divided as the witnessing principle and the material principle. You understand? It's advaita. The material principle is not real. The conscious principle is real. The witnessing conscious principle is reality. Therefore, Jesus is my higher nature, Arjuna. May you recognize Brahma Satya Jaganitya. Jesus is such a simple teaching, but it takes time to hold this simple truth at all times. Vedantic sense was given here. Not only that, in these two verses, because he says, I am there blessing and supporting, and delivering your parabol, and then I'm not in it, and there is no you in me, I am not in you. So these are the highest teachings of Vedanta present in this 9th chapter on a few verses. Then what is the fourth feature? No, there is a fourth feature. We forgot about that. It does not stop with 3 features. I am the Shristi, Stiti, Laya, Karana. So it's a call. I am the causeless cause of Pratibhasika, Vyavaharika, the entire universe, subtle and physical. I am the Shristi. I am the Laya Karana. The awaker is the Shristi, Siti, Laya Karana of the dream world. Now, the dream world comes out of the awaker, as we know. And the irony is, I create the dream world, but I don't know how to create. Shwara is going to create to me based on my Vasana load. And then I better do not claim I create the world, because that is a statement of stupidity. If you create the world, why you keep creating nightmares or bad dreams? Are you a masochist? No? Then when I wake up, what happens to my dream world? Where does my dream world go? All the dangers, the wild animals, everything disappears, and as a matter of speak, resolved into the awaking mind, the mind of the awaker. Everything resolves back into the conscious awaker's mind. In the same way, Krishna said the universe is like a dream from the standpoint of Brahman, or the higher nature of God. Therefore, Mama Atma. Atma means higher nature, and so on. The entire. So I am the Shristi Karta, and not only that Buddha, but means that Siddhika, just as the waker is the supporter. So he's not only the originator, but he's a supporter. No? So the dreamer is supporting the dream world as well. Likewise, consciousness, Brahman, is supporting the awakening world as well. And as Paramartika Satyam, we rest because we do not need to make any effort to support anything. You can say, let the dream world continue. I will go to the office and come back and continue the dream. No, once you wake up, the dream is gone. Therefore, you project, you support. So we project, we support, but actually, I often like to say that the mind projects and supports its dreams, which is a projection from one's vasana load, but the mind does not know how to do that. So who is doing everything? The sense of ownership has to be broken also at the level of the dreamer in retrospective. Maya, Shwara is doing that for us. He says, no, this guy is full of vasanas here. I need to somehow release some of these. I'm going to create a very intense dream world to empty as well a little bit, to make some room in the basement of the mind here. The Upanishadic idea was revealed in these two verses. Then you have to supply a third principle. Not only I'm the creator, the Shristi. You remember literally the meaning of the word Shristi is originator, huh?
I think Shrishti, often translated as creation, but more rightly put as manifestation.
Yeah. So I am the cause of the manifestation. So therefore, I am the creator, and I am the Chiti Karana, which is the cause. Chiti is sustainer. Okay. I am the projector or the creator, originator, as we saw in the Mandukya. And I'm the sustainer, and then I'm also the destroyer. I'm the cause of the destruction. I'm the Laya Karana. I swallow the creation I have projected and sustained. But when? Nobody knows when. Anytime it may happen. And it's all good. Nothing's lost. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I have to I have not much time to do some things here. While I have the car here, and then I will be here without any possibility of moving again. One of the problems here is that because I came for a short time, I did not get a telephone line as well, so I'm a little bit stuck not being able to take Ubers right and left, okay, so next class, next Monday, okay, I will be here, and then we go from there. Anything else?
Sending you some good juju about your travel.
Yeah.
I would be very careful. What if you got stuck in Colombia and you couldn't get? Yeah, be careful.
There is potential for everything, but the only other option I have by now is to begin a process of making a passport that will take. They told me if I go to Miami, they may be able to give you a date by the end of May. Because here in Florida, you would be able, here in Orlando, we have some space for you to begin this process in August. In other words, I'm stuck here, but I need to go back. I have my tax return in Brazil, my tax return in the USA, and I'm not going to do anything illegal. I'm flying to a nation that does not require visa in my American passport. And then once I'm there, I can cross the border presenting my Brazilian ID, which is a legal way to go in and out. You understand? But since it is a tough country, Paraguay, Colombia, all of these, but these countries, they are not any better than Brazil. The danger is all over, these South American nations.
And in America now.
And America is so good in comparison, you cannot imagine. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. America is yet so good that lately I'm having second thoughts and reconsidering or considering the idea of moving back to the USA. Namaste. We meet Monday.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Arlinda. It's obviously your karma keeping you there. So what can you do apart from accept gracefully?
The upside of all of this is that I'm enjoying greatly to be here, serving them, having my walks. The community here has a pool. I swim a little bit. And I'm just cooking and cleaning and supporting and doing a little walk. And, I'm having a good time. But now, if it was not for my tax returns, I would say, okay, I will begin this process and get this passport here. But I need to go there. It's gonna be tough. I already prepared to try to do this. Just a moment.